And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I apologize for that late. I do have to leave some spots open for the ads now because we are monetized, so yay! But, just going to go ahead and go into this third segment, which is talking about, the aftermath of the Olympics, specifically the aftermath for LeBron and Stephen Curry. So, as we know, Steph and LeBron, they gave it their all in these Olympics. We're very proud of them. Fantastic athletes, arguably, the best players of this decade. And with the Olympics now concluding, now, there's still another, I guess you could say goal for them, and that is winning an NBA championship. Yes, these two, in my opinion, these guys, they're still in the running for being an NBA title contention, given their stats and given just how phenomenal they played throughout the entirety of the Olympics. And honestly, given these Olympic Games, I think it would be a little disrespectful to not consider these two, as still title contenders, right? I think that these two guys, despite the fact that they're rather old and that their team still isn't as good as it should be, I think these guys still have, a shot at contending in, the big games and still playing in these big games and possibly winning. I think you'd be a fool not to consider these guys as title contenders. So with that in mind, I think the next steps for these teams, the next step for the Lakers and for the Warriors, is to try and build a title contending team for LeBron and for Steph Curry, respectively, because these two have shown that they can still compete at a high level and they could still play against other basketball players at a high level. So I think you'd be kind of insane to not think that these guys still have a shot at making it to the finals and winning the finals in the end. And honestly, I think you'd just be insane if you don't consider them. All you really need is to surround, LeBron and AD with competent enough role players, and I really think they could go far. Same with the Golden State Warriors. You've already, been able to restock and retool after Klay Thompson has left, and you probably can do it a lot easier than if the Lakers were to do it for LeBron. And I really the biggest problem for LA is just acquiring talent, because the fact that LeBron is on the team just all makes it all the more difficult to acquire that type of talent in the NBA. And according to this article right here, what is obvious to Golden State and the Lakers fans is apparent to the rest of the world. Steph and LeBron are still championship caliber players. Although the odds are stacked against them in the loaded Western Conference, their franchises seem reluctant to go all in for one last shot at a title, which, a lot of people are sort of why would you do that? Why wouldn't you try and build a team around Steph and LeBron to compete, especially in a league where, the talent is just only getting better and better? So, Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Lakers GM Rob Pelinka, they sort of have the mentality that they can't throw away their future if it doesn't make us a contender today, which I just think is I think it's a little bit blasphemous, because if you have a prime LeBron and if you have a prime Steph, every single team you could assemble is a contending team just based off of the fact that you have one or the other. And it's really it's almost a fallacy at this point, thinking that, Steph, if he didn't have a good team, couldn't win a title, and if LeBron, if he didn't have a good team, couldn't win a title. A lot of people, they like to push that narrative that, it's past LeBron or it's past Steph Curry's time, when in reality, I really don't think that's the case. So, Curry also capped his first Olympics with arguably the two greatest individual performances in Team USA history. Should be peeved that the Warriors stood pat at last season's trade deadline. Although Golden State owned the rights to essentially all of its future draft picks and had tradable prospects Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, and Trace Jackson Davis, management didn't really budge, trying to acquire Klay Thompson again. Curry also should be irate that Dunleavy wouldn't include Kuminga in a potential deal for Paul George and Podziemski in a package for Lauri Markkanen earlier this summer. Like, the Warriors, they haven't really, they were able to retool after Klay, but, you'd expect them to get some sort of all-star talent for Steph Curry to work around, but given, what they've done, it's sort of shown that they don't really want to build a championship roster, and they sort of want to rebuild. Like, I don't really understand, the thought process of having teams and the rebuilding stage. I mean, you would think that a lot of the GMs, they would learn from, the mistake of wanting to rebuild a little bit early, as opposed to, just dealing with the talent they have now. Like, I believe, and on the football side, New England did this with Tom Brady, and we all know how that ended up. I mean, almost immediately after they decided to not sign Tom ended up going to Tampa Bay and ended up winning with them over there. And it proved to be one of the biggest, mistakes for the Patriots in recent memory, not giving Tom Brady another chance. And, this could be another mistake that GMs copy, this time with NBA talented players. So I really think, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that LeBron and Steph, if they're given the tools and they're given the right pieces, if they can legitimately compete for another title in their careers? I think it's totally possible. So that's going to be it for the third segment. So now I will go ahead and go into the fourth segment, where I talk about some of the best players of the previous NBA, previous NBA decades, excuse me. So this will be dating from, I'll start from 2020, like from the 2020 years all the way down to like 1996. And I'll just go 1960, excuse me, Jesus, I don't know what was wrong with me with that. I'll go from 2020 all the way down to 1960s, where, Wilt Chamberlain was the best player. So I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about that after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.